Welcome to episode 5 of the Look Back. Today we're talking Choose Your Pain. I'm David Duncan, and with me is Michelle Cromwell.
Hello.
So looking back at Star Trek Discovery on episode 5, Choose Your Pain, did anything new stick out to you?
I did notice a couple things that were going on in the background that were just basic stage effects, like what people were eating, the different types of uniforms, different aliens, different hairstyles, which I think were a little bit more wide and varied than I think we've seen in any other Trek. Honestly, the way that people looked so drastically different, it almost seems like in the first Treks, it was like humanoids with a little bit of something different. But now it seems like they're going into more daring areas of makeup and making people look definitely more wide and varied than they used to. It reminds me a little bit, it does remind me a little bit of Babylon 5.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the way that people aren't necessarily as integrated as we're used to seeing in Trek.
I haven't been paying too much attention to the people in the background, except for some of the people on the bridge. Like, on like the first two episodes, the Shinzo, they had the person who looks like dubstep or something, like the weird head, the robot head, looks like some.
Oh yeah,
looks like them. And then there's Aaron on the Discovery Bridge, who has got like two lines that basically accompany that are basically just like yes sir, and she's got all that crazy makeup and nothing.
I know. Yeah, that's kind of a shame.
And then the helmsman from the Discovery, from the Shinzu, who's on the Discovery now, has got the thing on her eye. We've barely talked to her either.
Yeah, somebody said that they think that it might be some sort of implant that they had to add after the accident.
It holds her head together.
Yeah, or she damaged some lobe and it makes the synapses fire correctly in her brain or something.
Well, the way it goes around her eye, it almost kind of reminds me of 7 of 9 a little bit.
Yeah, it really does.
Is it an ocular implant that has to go all the way through the brain, which is why it goes from here and then all the way back? Yeah,
that is kind of strange, because most of the tech that we see on Star Trek that has to do with biology is hidden.
That's true.
We generally don't see it outwardly. And I think that that's kind of important to talk about a transition that we did in medical science between where we see it in Star Trek and where we have it now, where things start getting more aesthetically pleasing, but they aren't necessarily invisible, like we're not used to seeing.
Yeah, but other than the background stuff, did anything story-wise, did anything change for you now that we've seen the entire first chapter of the series?
With this one, not as much as the next episode.
Not as much as the next one?
Not as much as the next episode. Honestly, I saw this as a really good way to add Ash into the storyline, to bring up kind of his questionable, how has he lasted there for so long, because he's been there longer than Mud. So who knows how long he's been there? At least I think he's been there longer than Mud.
Well,
I could be wrong.
He said 7 months. We don't have an exact time on Mud's time frame.
Yeah, I can't possibly think he'd be there 7 months, because you think that everybody'd be pointing at him and he'd be done in a week.
I wonder if Mud is in on what Ash Tyler is.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he's that... Not that he's not that good, but he's a little bit too evil villainy, where he's all like, I've almost carried out my plan. I haven't quite completed it, but I'm going to tell you what it is right now, because I am so clever and I want you to know how clever I am before I kill you. Aren't I clever?
Well, the whole thing with Ash Tyler, to me, is so fishy. It's so fishy.
I know.
There's that one guy laying there, and he gets, choose your pain, oiled you with, and he gets to get his head kicked in and dragged away. There's nobody else.
I know. What was that?
There's nobody else in the room but Harry Mudd, and there's nobody else in the room but Harry Mudd and Lorca. Then all of a sudden Ash is there. Is there a secret compartment where he just kind of crawls through? He's like, oh yeah, I'm here too, guys.
No, I think the Klingons dragged him back in, and they threw him in there. He was supposed to have just been done with his torture session, whatever.
No, but Lorca was like, I didn't realize somebody else is in here. Why if Ash?
Oh,
I'm talking about Ash.
Okay.
Because the guy gets
That's so weird.
the guy gets dragged away, and then
Yeah.
Ash is there later, and Lorca's like, I didn't realize anyone else was here. Like why didn't he speak up when they're like, choose your pain, all this stuff? Like, I don't think he was in the room. I think there's like a hidden passage that he kind of went through. it was just such an odd thing. Like everything about Ash is suspect to me personally, and like just him just showing up randomly in the room where Lorca is also suspect.
Well, he could just be like, there could be a shadow. I mean, he was supposed to be up against the wall that the viewer is looking from.
You mean he's like so he was taking a nap the whole like 30 minutes Lorca was in there?
He's hiding in a shadow and hoping the Klingons don't notice him.
Yeah, it's just really weird. And the fact that he said he's been there for 7 months, and the fact that he's L'Rell's lover.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know, that part's kind of weird to me.
Well, it makes sense if he's Vok, or if Vok's mind has been downloaded into him, because know in episode 4, the Butcher's Knife, the way that L'Rell and Vok were talking to each other, they're definitely been doing stuff together. They're a thing.
One of my big questions with that is kind of like, okay, let's just say that Ash is just who he says he is. What made him so appealing to her that she would go against everything Klingon?
Against Klingon Tak Judge.
And the fact is, it's like, not even that, my whole thing is that this whole time she could be pregnant. We don't know. Can Klingons control that? How did what they do, go run out for space condoms? I mean, how does this work?
If Lorca's right and they have multiple parts, she's like, I'm fertile in this one. Don't stick it in that one. Stick it in the other one.
I suppose. Or would they just be interconnected internally? I think we need a Klingon anatomy book for this one. I really do.
Or he was just making fun of her, and they've got one set like everyone else does, but
yeah, but like Ash is cute, but he's kind of a scrawny little dude. I mean, like, like I have no doubt that Michael could grab him by the front of his uniform and just chuck him.
Oh,
like, it wouldn't even be a question. She could he pisses her off. She's all like, out of my way. So, like, especially with somebody she's the captain of her own ship. So pretty much she does have her own little fiefdom in Klingon, to bring that as something that somebody says to Lorca later. I mean, so pretty much she's a warrior queen, and suddenly she's with this guy.
She's sleeping with a prisoner, and everything to
poetry.
Everything to Kuvra was for remain Klingon, the purity of the Klingon, and like having sex with a human, and if you can get pregnant, because it's weird. We know Cardassians and Bajorans can have sex and conceive without any medical intervention. Vulcans and humans do need medical intervention, but we don't know if Klingons and humans need medical intervention.
I think we might find out.
We might.
Yeah, but like the whole thing, and I understand that like the whole sexual abuse is a whole power play, so she could be using it as an instrument of torture, but honestly, as a female of the Klingon species, it seems to me that it would be a huge liability to her chances of survival personally. So her motivations for that, to me, it seems like there is so much at stake. Why would she use that form of abuse? Especially, I mean, like, the men on her ship have to know. They've got to talk to people. It can't be a secret.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's why Cole is so dismissive of her next time he sees her.
I think it might be. Like, he might know. I don't know. That was just always kind of stuck in my mind of, I mean, I understand, the sensitivity of doing it. And I think that the way that they have him handle it and the way that they show their interaction now is done well. But the motivation as to what started it is kind of questionable to me, just because she couldn't hide it. And everybody around her, I mean, like, the way they are right now, they're kind of being crazy genocidal.
Yeah.
And that would kind of be like, an officer in the Nazi party taking
Yeah.
a partner that was unsuitable and expecting everybody around them to look the other way and go dur, 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 when they could be the one that could be conceiving. It changes the rules up so much. I mean, like, it doesn't really change the rules up so much, but it changes the perspective of what motivates her a lot. And I don't know if that just comes off as sounding completely insensitive, but I'm just talking about it from a storyteller's point of view, not from a real life point of view.
Sure.
Like, just as a storytelling, way of developing his character.
Yeah, but the thing is, if she's definitely, I actually spoke about this in the podcast before, where I do believe the sexual thing, it was just another form of torture, so that it's just multiple ways to break down his walls if he is really just Ash Tyler. But if he's not Ash Tyler, if he's Vok transformed, or if he's just Ash Tyler with Vok's memory sleeping in his mind and waiting to be awoken, he is the vessel of Vok.
Right.
He is the vessel of the prophet, the Klingon prophet, the new Klingon Messiah, the Messiah's chosen one, Takuvma's chosen one. So if she was obviously in love with Vok and Butcher's Knife, so her continued sleeping with Ash as Vok's, if he's Vok's vessel, makes 100% sense, because she's in love with Vok.
There is also one thing. He could be having flashbacks of having sex with her as Vok, but since his brain doesn't register he's Vok, it puts in the memory of him as Ash.
Well, I think it's current.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's been 7 months. We don't know how long the 7 months since Battle of Binary Star. We don't know how long the transformation happened, though.
Yeah, but, like, is that 7 months real? If he is Vok, it could have happened last week and he thinks it happened 7 months ago. Everything in his mind could be fabricated.
That's true, but I mean, we don't know when.
Or they even could have put him in stasis and then waited until they got Lorca and then did a download in his brain and popped him out.
Yeah, we don't know. There's so much going on, and I just wonder if we're putting too much emphasis on Vok, but I don't think so, because everything with L'Rell makes me think that's not true. That it's got to be something with Vok.
God, I want it to be a red herring, though. I want him to be all like, oh, I was on the other side of the galaxy. Hello.
They just show Vok. And that's the thing. Like, we haven't seen Vok and the Woman of Mokai, so we don't know what's going on. But because L'Rell told him he's got to give up everything. Everything could be your body, your Klingonness. You're stuck in a human's body. That is giving up so much.
That really is. I don't know. Gosh, see, the thing is that, like, Vok is so centered. Would he just be willing to give up his faith?
He doesn't have
to. Because that would be essentially what he would be doing if he transferred himself to Ash and made himself into another person. I mean, it would be one thing to give up your identity, but giving up your faith is something that's not... If you believe in something, you can't just say you don't believe in it because it's inconvenient. You can say that, but it isn't the way that you are going to process it.
Well, I mean, he thought taking the part from the Shinzu was like going against Klingondom, but at this point, he's got literally no choice. He's either going to be left in the Shinzu, or he can go live in a human's body.
Yeah.
If that's what's happening. But it's something I literally just thought of as we were talking. Is that what if L'Rell is the one trying to make peace?
Okay.
So if she puts Vok's mind into Ash, so she wants to keep making love to the vessel of Vok, but she births the first half human, half Klingon, and this chosen one, this weird thing becomes what they what causes the truce or whatever. I don't know. It was just some kind of random thought I just had. I'm like, huh. Because I never really thought of, her being pregnant as a big thing. Because I always thought it was just her protection of Vok, the reason she spoke to Ash that way. But you saying, well, what if she's pregnant? I'm like, ooh, what if she's trying to, make peace somehow?
Yeah, and it's like, well, I mean... See, that's the thing. We don't know a whole lot about, human and Vulcan reproduction, but it just seems to me like she wouldn't have thought that far ahead. But I mean, like, I could totally be wrong. I mean, like, now that I say that, that doesn't really seem right.
Well, yeah, it was just a random thought because you're talking about how she might be pregnant, and I'm like, well, what if she's trying to like broker some peace or like I don't know, like I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem likely being the follower of Takuma.
They could totally fight a war about this kid. I mean,
or
just this kid being born could split up the Vulcan Empire at this point.
The Klingon Empire.
Well, oh my god. What's wrong with me?
The Vulcan Empire. The Vulcan
I just
extremists.
watched an episode with Sarek in it, and it was like Vulcans everywhere. So
maybe she's not trying to make peace. That's a good point. Maybe she's using possibly a hybrid child to like make a mess of things even more.
Mm-hmm.
And
what if she's all like, well, these people will accept anyone that's Vulcan because they accepted the light-skinned Vulcans, the albino Vulcans, whatever type of Vulcan they are. I don't remember if they have a word for them or not. We'll call them the Prophet people.
The Prophet people.
It seemed like they were, they seemed like they were serious outcasts, and then they were brought into the fold because they were Klingon after all. And if there are people out there that have just turned into they're Klingon after all, and then they saw a child that was half and half, and they went, well, they're being raised as Klingon. Well, they're Klingon after all. They would totally suddenly find themselves within a civil war for the people that are all like, one blood, pure blood, we are all Klingon.
I mean, but there's already a division. There's the Klingon augment virus, smooth-headed Klingons that are still around during this period. Kang, Koloth, and Kor all don't have ridges in this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that they could possibly do with a child. And making the crazy leap to Deep Space Nine, what if L'Rell and Vok as Ash do have a child? Ash is then converted to Vok, realizes he has a child with L'Rell. His child is killed by the House of Kor, Koloth, and Kang. And then so as the albino goes and has his revenge on their children. Because there's also the rumor that maybe Vok is the albino from Deep Space Nine.
What, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's even if he doesn't have a child and kill it, the way they treated him and exiled him, or the way Cole did, because Cole is of the House of Kor, that could be enough reason for him to want to go kill his children. But maybe there's another child involved, so that's what makes him go and kill the children.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the Klingons in Blood Oath weren't as innocent as they claim to be. You know what I mean? There could be this whole new backstory for what happens in that episode of Blood Oath.
I also see, like, if the albino Klingon is meant to be the prophet, I could see him very easily. I mean, he wouldn't even really need to get into a conflict with power just from being a prophet and this particular movement growing. He could just end up growing in power, and I'm sure that wouldn't make a lot of people happy.
It's true.
And it's not like he would even really have to do anything. He would just kind of have to exist.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't really see how that would be very good with keeping the Klingons together either.
Yeah. Well, with Lorca, we learned that he destroyed his entire ship, so he didn't want the Klingons to take them over. That was...
Yeah, I totally get that, though, because it's like...
It's what Picard did in First Contact when the guy's, like, getting assimilated, and he's like, help me, Captain, and he just shoots him.
I know.
Except he did that to his entire ship.
Well, he knew at that point the Klingons had the ship, so they had all the information that they really needed. They didn't need to torture the crew for information. They were just torturing the crew for fun. And it's like, why would you leave them there?
Don't help them escape.
Like,
just
you
go
couldn't
in your own.
help them escape. Well, I mean, if you've only got one escape pod, I mean, how many people can you really cram in there?
Well, usually ships have more than one, but still,
Yeah, but nobody else got to one. He's the one that got to one.
He's the
And
one that got away.
an escape pod shot up an entire ship?
I don't know.
How? Okay, maybe it was super clever, but I still want to know how.
I want to know how he got away.
Well, I mean, he is the captain of a science vessel.
That's true. But still, the Klingons have taken your ship, used an escape pod to get away. Did you, like, mask your life signs and pull a C-3PO, an R2-D2? Like, oh, we're not going to shoot it because there's no life sign on it. The fact that he got away from a ship that was taken over by Klingons, which means there was a Klingon ship in the vicinity, at least one.
Yeah. Or the Federation managed to damage the Klingon ship to the point where it was not functional, but they had already boarded.
Or Lorca's self-destruct took out the other Klingon ship, too. So he was just flying out himself in the escape pod away.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to see that scene where it just, like, messes people up.
Normally when there's a self-destruct sequence going on a ship, it comes over the overhead, right? So pretty much everybody knows that the ship is going to self-destruct. You need to either get your shit together and save the ship or get the hell out.
Oh, wow. Like, his crew must have been so upset. It's like, what?
I know, and it's like, but see, if the Klingons heard the self-destruct sequence go off, they're not going to stay there unless they have, like, no other choice.
They did in Star Trek 3.
They're just going to be all like, all right, you guys are dead, we're out.
They did in Star Trek 3.
That's true.
It's like, what's that? Only Cooge was smart enough to know, get out! Get out!
Yeah, that's true. And plus, like, Michael's not carrying around her universal translator yet, so they might not know what that was.
That's true. Especially if they're low ranking Klingons. Because what they said in Star Trek 6 is like only the top ones even know English.
Yeah. How did that happen? I kind of wonder.
Oh, the high ranking ones would need to be able to interact with humans, I guess.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of like, how exactly did Klingons figure out English? I want to know the Klingon translator.
Shakespeare is they're all they need to know for English.
They're all like, we got this stuff beamed into space.
All the Klingons should be so much more eloquent in English if all they know is Shakespeare. Like Shakespeare got beamed into space, and that was their first encounter with English.
God, I have something in here. One of the Klingons, when they started getting really upset and talking fast, they got an Irish accent. But it was just something that I noticed, and, like, I rewound it, because I'm all like, am I really hearing that? And it kind of sounded Irish to me. But, like, that could just be me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can't even comment, because I have no idea. That was our episode 5 look back on Choose Your Pain. Lots of getting caught in the weeds. Not a whole lot new, just more discussion about Ash and Vok, because that's all I like to talk about, apparently.
Klingon babies.
Klingon babies. All right, Michelle, where can we find you on the social medias?
On the social medias, I am on Facebook as Michelle Cromwell. I also have a website that is cromwellscuriosityshop.biz.
She makes really cool stuff. We met at Comic-Con.
I do. And I am Tashara Socks. That is Tashara SOX at Twitter.
For the show, we're at Synthaholic Duo on Twitter, and we're at synthaholics.com, and here on YouTube, the Synthaholics YouTube channel. Come here for your weekly drink videos and your Discovery lookbacks and the Synthaholics podcast. Thank you all for watching. Live long and prosper. Until next week.